The livelihoods of the Eastern Caribbean are closely linked to the ebb and flow of the tides. The majority of our economic activities relating to fishing, trade, tourism, and recreation occur in our coastal cities, towns, and villages. Many of these communities, though, have to live with a constant threat of an attack from the sea. This is one of the most inviting beaches in the Caribbean. It's located next to a sandbar in Barbuda. That sandbar is the island's first line of defense against hurricanes. It forms a ring around a massive lagoon, which is the second line of defense for the town of Codrington, population of about 2,000.
If this goes, then the full extent of a storm impacting on the major populated area of Barbuda, which is Codrington, this is what is going to protect us.
Scientists predict that sea level rise and sea temperature rise are two events that will happen as a result of climate change. When the sea level rises, we will not only lose our beaches, we are also at risk of losing our yards, our farms, our homes, and our businesses. With sea level rise, lowlands are at risk of transforming into wetlands. Here on Barbuda, places that were once roads or pathways have been covered by water, which moved inland from the sea. Right here behind me, a road has been fully consumed by water as a result of sea level rise. All over the Caribbean, beaches have begun to disappear as the sea pushes its way onto the land. In addition, coral reefs, which once protected the beach by breaking the intensity of waves, are being destroyed by pollution and rising sea temperature.
When you have a weakened structure of coral reefs, or if it gets to the stage where it starts disintegrating, it opens our coastlines to a lot more coastal erosion due to swells, wave action.
As a result, property owners along the coast are forced to invest in sea defenses, some comprising packed boulders. This hotel was once a priced beachfront property, but the beach disappeared during a hurricane in 2002 and never returned. This is another vivid example of what climate change looks like.
The condominium complex that was developed next door apparently lost its appeal because there was no more beach. And if you've been around the front, you can see that there was a swimming pool right there, and even that's almost been eroded away through as well. I basically tried to protect a little bit of my waterfront by not necessarily placing more boulders, but by basically shoring up the actual building itself.
With predictions for increased sea level rise and more violent storm surges, many property owners have begun constructing breakwaters and groins. This is meant to reduce coastal erosion and protect their property from strong wave action. While this may seem as a good climate change coping technique, it is only sustainable with sound engineering.
And in certain circumstances, they help the situation, help that property, but they also have other detrimental impacts like coastal erosion, like we see all along the coast here.
In some coastal areas, mangroves provide some level of protection from sea surges. In this example here in Barbuda, one resident embarked on a project to replant depleted mangroves, hoping his example would inspire other coastal communities throughout the OECS.
Mangroves grow fairly easily, okay? Once you can get them into a shelter spot, the plants are so adaptable that they will take root.
There are many ways to mitigate the impacts of climate change on coastal areas. One way is to minimize the amount of pollution that finds its way into the sea. Another way is to seek sound engineering advice before the construction of breakwater structures and groins. And where possible, engage in replanting mangroves or refrain from denuding mangrove forests. The Caribbean is sold on sea, sun and sand. If the sand continues to disappear, so too will the appeal for recreation and the economic returns from tourism.
Act now. Rally. Rethink. Respond. This message is brought to you by the OECS Secretariat with funded assistance from the United States Agency for International Development.